It's being called a new way to get affordable care coverage. Enrollment opens today for the Affordable Care Act.
And this act will see to it that Americans have access to what's being called essential health benefits, which will cover ambulatory patient services, emergency services, hospitalization, maternity and newborn care, mental health and substance abuse, prescription drugs, rehabilitative and habilitative services and devices, laboratory services, preventative and wellness services, and pediatric services. Millions of uninsured Americans are expected to sign up for the Affordable Care Act.
Now, there are some things you need to know before you jump on board. Some officials in Washington are worried that the Affordable Care Act may actually open the floodgates to identity theft.
Yeah, and here are a few steps you can take to help keep you and your family from being easy prey.
People have mixed feelings about Obamacare.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
I think I've heard more bad things than good things.
To protect yourself, insurance experts have some warnings for you. Number 1, don't be fooled. The government is not going to call selling you insurance. However, you may be contacted by local providers. Check with your county health department to find out who's in your area. Number 2, if someone tells you that you will go to jail for missing the deadline, don't believe it. However, you may face a penalty of close to $300. The final warning, limited time offers. There aren't any. Rates will be stable throughout the enrollment period from October 1st through March 31st, 2014, helping you shed some of that insurance fraud fear.
Now, when it comes to the Affordable Care Act, there's a lot to it. In fact, do you know that under this act, you're required to have health coverage by next year?
Now, to help us sort all of this out, we reached out to financial expert Dr. Memo Diricker with the Business, Economic, and Community Outreach Network, or Beacon. He was going to join us this afternoon. Unfortunately, he came under the weather, so he couldn't join us. However, he did send us some very important answers to our questions.
Yes, he did. And first, thing to know, there are 4 colored categories when it comes to picking your coverage. Coverage will be covered at 4 levels with values defining how much the insurer pays. Platinum is 90%, gold 80%, silver 70%, and bronze 60%. A lower benefit catastrophic plan will also be offered, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Now, a qualified health plan to be offered through the new American Health Benefit Exchange must provide essential health benefits, which include cost-sharing limits. No out-of-pocket requirements can exceed those in health savings accounts, and deductibles in the small group market cannot exceed $2,000 for an individual and $4,000 for a family.
Now, as part of the act, there's also something called a catastrophic plan. Memo Diricker says that plan is available to those up to the age of 30 or to those who are exempt from the mandate to purchase coverage and provides catastrophic coverage only. However, prevention benefits and coverage for 3 primary care visits a year would be exempt from that deductible, and this plan is only available in the individual market.
Now, it's important to point out that this is not like Medicaid. All of the companies involved with the Affordable Care Act are offered by private companies. There's no option, no government option. They must, however, spend at least 80% on direct patient care or return the difference to policyholders in the form of premium refunds.
Now, for people who keep referring to this as Obamacare, it goes far beyond the president. Memo Diricker points out that until now, we were the only industrialized nation with such a high percentage of its population without health coverage. Now, this act has many provisions that even many of its detractors seem to like. Removal of lifetime and most types of annual limits on coverage, prohibition coverage being canceled due to changes in health, removal of pre-existing conditions as a barrier to coverage. Those are just some of the provisions.
Now, there are people who are happy with this and many who want it to stop, but it's already law. Memo points out this is the law of the land. The House and Senate voted with votes from both parties. The president signed it and the Supreme Court ratified it with some minor modifications, but it is the law.
And what you may not realize is that gone are the days when you could say, I just don't want insurance. Now, if you don't have insurance, you're going to pay a penalty come tax time. Beginning in 2014, with some exceptions, most individuals will be required to maintain minimum essential coverage or pay a penalty of $95 in 2014. It's going to be $350 in 2015. In 2016, it'll go to $750. And under the age of 18 are going to pay, the penalty is still going to be there, but it's going to be about half of the amount for adults.
So, how much will the new plan cost? Well, Memo says the exact cost will depend on where you live, your age bracket, whether you smoke, which level of coverage you pick, whether you are currently covered by an employer, and your income level.
Now, there are a number of online tools for estimating your costs and your subsidy if you're eligible for the subsidy. You still have questions? It's okay. WBOC News is trying to help you find the answers in state by state with a phone bank. So be sure to watch WBOC News at 6 and 7 for more. You can also learn more on the Affordable Care Act, including a complete resources page for Delaware, Maryland, or Virginia by going to delmarvalife.com. Click on the Show tab.
Well, still ahead on Delmarva Life, she's considered one of the most successful authors in the world. We speak with Sandra Brown about how she even got started, and you won't believe her story. Plus, she gives us the scoop behind her new thriller, Deadline.
And are you feeling frustrated with the job you have, or you're just frustrated because you haven't found the one you want? How the holidays play a role in what could become your new full-time job. But first, we've been talking a lot today about health. If you do end up sick, Dr. Oz has more on how you can be a smart patient.
12 million patients are safely treated in the U.S. hospitals every year, but mistakes do happen. Up to 2 million people get an infection every year, and sometimes people die. It's up to you to be a smart patient. Hospitals are where germs start and congregate, so wash your hands, scrub often, and for at least 15 seconds with soap and water. Keep alcohol sanitizing gel beside you, especially if you're stuck in bed. And don't be shy. Ask everyone, visitors, nurses, even doctors, to wash their hands before touching you. And remember, saying please and thank you to hospital staffers can help ensure an attentive treatment. A week of daily walking prior to elective surgery can help too. Remember, have a short and smart hospital stay.